Ladies and gentlemen, I met our next presenter, Simon Fischer-Llarena, when I was organizing a TEDx event, and I was immediately struck by his multi-talented person. He's a master's student in microtechnology, he's an accomplished musician, he's a composer, and today he is going to share some of his insights and one of his compositions. Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you see me?
Not as yet, Simon. Give us a minute or two and we would be happy to make sure that you're on the full screen there.
Okay.
Karina, please give me the host rights back.
Not quite sure why you don't have them. Gunther. Your host.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Simon.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I will share my screen now. No, I can't share my screen yet.
Now you can, Simon. Sorry for the glitch.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Carnival of the Planets. Have you ever thought of how planets sound? And what is the music of the planets? Of course, there's no such thing as a sound, let alone music, coming directly out of celestial bodies. Sound needs a medium to propagate, but space is a near vacuum. Throughout history, composers have been greatly inspired by the beauty and mysticism of the planets of the solar system. Most notably, Gustav Holst, who composed his famous suite for orchestra called The Planets. But what about listening to the planets through science, linking physics and astronomy with music? Well, that is exactly what Johannes Kepler, an astrophysicist from the 17th century, did by devising one musical scale for each planet of the solar system. We call them the Kepler scales. For centuries, these scales were forgotten until Laurent Hier, an astrophysicist at the Geneva Observatory of our present age, rediscovered them. He had the brilliant idea that someone should compose pieces of music based on these scales. Well, I was lucky enough to meet him, and needless to say, I jumped at the opportunity. 2 years later, we ended up composing The Carnival of the Planets, a cycle of 7 pieces for solo piano. Today, after the talk, I will play for you one of my compositions, which is called Venus, and on a transcription I made for the guitar. But how were these mysterious scales created in the first place? Who was Kepler? Kepler's legacy in the field of physics was immense. His famous laws are still taught in high schools and universities all over the world. The first law states that any celestial body rotating around the sun will follow an elliptical curve. The second law describes the rotational speed of the orbit. And finally, the third law of Kepler states that planets orbiting further away from the sun, like Jupiter, will orbit slower overall, whereas planets closer to the sun, like Mercury, will orbit faster. But Kepler also had a passion for the arts and was sort of an eccentric, longing to find the beauty of mathematics and ratios as expressed in nature. So naturally, the creation of such scales was a normal endeavor to him. But what was his process? Well, the key was to link the vibrational frequency of musical notes, like when you hit a piano or guitar string, to the frequency of rotation of the planets around the sun. Kepler started by giving each planet a base note, a fundamental pitch related to its speed. He gave the slower planets, like Jupiter, a lower musical note, and the faster planets, like Mercury, a higher note. But to create an actual scale, Kepler needed not only one note, but a full range of them. Well, to do that, he used eccentricity. Each planet has their own eccentricity, and that's what he used. It refers to how elliptical an orbit is as opposed to circular. So Kepler gave the more eccentric orbits a wider range of notes, like for example Mercury, and he gave the least eccentric, the more circular ones, a narrower range of notes. So basically, Kepler was able to find an abstract yet meaningful relationship between planets' orbits and sound frequencies. By listening to the scale's actual properties, musical properties, you can deduce astronomical variables of the planets and their orbits in the solar system. Let us now play two musical examples, the scales of Venus and Mercury. Venus scale is only one note repeated 3 times because its orbit is very circular. So it goes like this. On the other hand, Mercury scale consists of a wide range of notes because the orbit of Mercury is very eccentric. So it goes like this.
Simon, we
Yes.
cannot hear the sound.
Oh.
So please.
Oh yeah, that's
you're
my fault.
sharing. No worries, no worries.
You know what? I will play the scales on the guitars so that you can hear them. It will be easier. So Venus scale is only one note repeated 3 times, so it goes like this. And Mercury scale goes like this. So now the question is, how could I create music based on these scales? Because they seem so dull and simple. Well, motives such as these have been a composer's obsession for centuries, and the most famous example is probably Ludwig van Beethoven with his famous Fifth Symphony. We all know the Fate motive that opens the first movement. It goes like this. Well, this is a very early example of a motive, and just like Beethoven did with his work, where the motive is present all throughout the movement and serves as a building block for the work, I tried to use the Kepler scales as foundational motives for the development of my pieces. So today I will play for you my composition, Venus on the guitar. So you heard the Kepler scale before, it consists of one note played 3 times. So I invite you to listen throughout the composition closely and try to spot how this scale is used to highlight the different moods of the composition. In Greek and Roman mythologies, Venus is also the goddess of love. So I found it would be only fitting to compose a lovely waltz on the theme of love. So without further ado, I will leave you with the music. And stop sharing my screen maybe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. Every time I hear it, I'm so delighted. Beautiful. I know that you probably haven't been able to read the comments coming in on the chat, but
No, I
lots
haven't.
of very positive comments. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you're in Spain recording with your group. All
Thank
the
you.
best, and hope to see you back in Lausanne very soon. David,
Thank you, Karina.
to you.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Karina. Let's put our hands together for the team. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful.